Welcome to Ravenwood Acres. Jake here. I published my first video on Meshtastic in July of 2022. Since Meshtastic has grown leaps and bounds. With that said, if you're interested in Meshtastic or other decentralized off-grid mesh communication systems, check out my other channel, which will be linked here in the corner of the video, Meshtastic Solutions. It's here on YouTube. I'll of course put a link down below also. So today we are going to take a quick look of Meshtastic's past before we dive into what's I feel like is in store for the future of Meshtastic, 2026 and beyond, right? Okay, so past. My experience started in 2022. It started as a very DIY-centric project that was very intimidating for a lot of people to get into. The modules typically came as kits, like the T-Beam, which was my first purchase. And then you could order the OLED screen separate, and then it required soldering skills to put that on there. It didn't come with a battery. I can't even remember if it came with an antenna. It might have come with an antenna, but you're looking at buying the device, a battery, a screen if you wanted one, and then now a closure. So if you had access to a 3D printer, whether you owned one or maybe a friend did, you could probably have one printed. Or you could buy one online, a 3D printing case, or some sort of DIY box that a lot of people were doing in the beginning because they were just looking for something to put it in to protect it, so you wouldn't just have an open circuits there, right? And of course, it was prone to have more firmware issues than it does.
I want you work.
Today, I know a lot of people, if they've been using it for a while, have some gripes and complaints about that. We'll talk more of that at the end. And then there wasn't a whole lot of support, any sort of technical support. Of course, there's never really been official tech support other than meshtastic.org. You could go through there and read some stuff and might be able to figure your way out through the system, but wasn't really catered to individual devices, whether they're made by LilyGo, Heltec, or Rack, or whatever, some of the more popular ones, and of course we have more now. So those are things that challenged it in the beginning and probably kept a lot of people away from it. Now, fast forward to 2025, and we have many off-the-shelf, ready to go, handheld and solar infrastructure node style options. These are even, because there was a lot of small businesses, and there still is, that create these, that they'll take the boards and build cases and do other things and then sell them to individuals. But now you've got like Rack and LilyGo and those creating the ready to go from the manufacturer. In addition, you saw introductions of something like the AT Labs RM1, a rugged waterproof option for those that need those type of capabilities. I did several videos on that on my other channel. And then you saw the introduction of the Meshtastic UI for devices like the LilyGo T-Deck, which changed this device from what I felt like was just, it's the same thing, bulkier, as a smaller device, or even smaller like the Seat Studio T1000E, and made it so much more user-friendly and made it a true standalone device, no cell phone needed, because you can go in and change settings. Video's not about that, but the UI was a great release, and I was very happy to see it when it came out. And then we saw some security improvements here recently there were some vulnerabilities with some of the public key setups.
Security breach.
And they introduced to 2.6.11 plus, now I think 10 might have been the first one, and then beside the point, they fixed some issues. Of course, there's still some problems. We'll get to that. And then much more community support. Now here on YouTube, you can find, probably thousands of videos by now. A lot of the big tech YouTube channels now have been talking about Meshtastic, which has also probably helped grow the community because it's introducing it to more and more people. And then you saw offshoots like MeshCore and others, and MeshCore has had a big increase in use. It is very heavily used in the UK where it started, and there's plenty of people using it in the US too. I have yet to go there yet because I just haven't had the time or the need to do so. So we'll see. And then Meshtastic Solutions announcement from the people over at Meshtastic went out and said that, hey, they're going to create kind of a new project called Meshtastic Solutions, where they're looking to gain a little more capital because they don't really have any capital.
Money. We need money.
Capital, right? Because it is a open source, community-driven project. These people that work on fixing all those bugs and upgrades to your firmware that you complain about all the time aren't getting paid a salary to do so. At least none to my knowledge. It should be all, from all my understanding. Now, with the Meshtastic Solutions, it was the first kind of step was to reach out to manufacturers like Rack and LilyGo and others. I think Seed Studios also is signed up to be a partner, because they were already kind of advertising their products as a Meshtastic product. And the Meshtastic thing is trademarked, and so I think they kind of just went at it with like, hey, how about you just, whatever, maybe they're paying a licensing fee or something, so they could gain something to help improve the project, to help get to a stable firmware. So that's kind of the end goal, and I really hope to see a more stable firmware release by 2026. That's, at least I have not seen any official announcement of that. I'm just putting that out there as my hope to see, because I think that will help also keep people in it, because I know there's a lot of people that go out, buy all the stuff, they get excited after watching one of my videos or somebody else's, and then they realize that it was more complicated than they wanted to deal with, and they're not tech savvy. They don't like to deal with all that stuff. They're like, nah, whatever, sell them, get rid of them, throw them in a drawer and forget about them. However they go. One of the problems I'm going to end here with is, as an open source, community driven type project, there's a lot of different people wanting different things from the project. And I kind of think that sometimes that's what really kind of tends to cause some of these problems with the firmware. Everyone comes up with new ideas like, hey, let's try to make the firmware do this, or make it to where it can do this. So I think at some point they're going to have to come to a balance on that and say, okay, well, if you really want to do all these other things, it's open source code. So, do like MeshCore did and go off and do your own thing. So what do you think? Let me know. Subscribe to the channel if you're interested in. This channel is primarily based in just kind of all things preparedness, lots of different topics. My focus on communication stuff is at MCOM Solutions, so go check that out. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, check out the links down below. Thanks for watching.